to another episode of the Forging Better Fucking Humans podcast. You like that? I threw in that F word just for you guys. Apparently this morning I got into a little altercation with one of our members. I came into the cafe while they were drinking a coffee and I said, "Good fucking morning, everybody." And she was so insulted. And I thought it was positive. And she really took it the wrong way. She says, "You must not like me." And I said, "Why is that?" She said, "Because I say good morning sunshine to you all the time." And I said, "Well, I use the word fuck a lot." And she said, "It's not good. It always feels like you're mad at me." So it's really not intentional. It's really just that I'm from Detroit and fuck is like every third word for our culture. So we got that aside. Cool. Anyway, I was just kicking it around. I haven't talked to you guys in a while. I've been on the road. I went up north. My family's got a hunting cabin up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and we hunt up there in November, but we do a lot of prep stuff in September, October, so we decided this year we were going to do it in September. What I decided to do when I went up there, because my cabin up there has no power, no running water, no heat, none of those things. No Wi-Fi, none of that kind of shit. You're literally a camp stove, and you got to go 20 miles to town to fill a bunch of water jugs so you got fresh water and you bring it back up to the cabin. And, you know, whether we're doing setup or we're hunting, that's the atmosphere. So while we're there getting water, we get a lot of beer and stuff like that. You know, it's normal hunt camp type shit. But anyway, what I decided on the way up on the flight was I'm going to do a social media detox, because what I found is, for me personally, I just social media is just one of the most addictive things on the planet. That it's on par with like letting kids play with guns. Like, it's some dangerous shit. You can get really just honed in and tunnel vision on certain things, and it can just make you so super angry, and you end up with like this warped view of the world, and you just think everybody's fucked. You really think that just everybody's angry and everybody's fighting and everybody's divided and blah 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 blah. So I turned my social media off while I was up there, and I've done it a couple times when I go on hunting trips, and I think it's really valuable for me to do that, just to take some time, and not just a day, but like a week, 5 days, if not more, where you just don't look at it. I turn my phone on in the morning, talk to my wife. In the evening, I talk to my wife and my kids. But throughout the middle of the day, it's just off. It doesn't really work at the camp anyway, so it's great. It works out really nice. And what ends up happening is you start having conversations with people again. Everywhere that you go, you start talking to people. You're at the hardware store picking stuff up, and you have a genuine conversation. You're at the Cabela's. We went to the Cabela's in Detroit. There was this nice lady there in the sunglass section right after I got done looking at all kinds of bows and shit. And we sat there and shot the shit for, it must have been an hour. We just talked. And, you know, in any other given world, we probably wouldn't, you know, on the social media spectrum of things, she wouldn't be in my tribe of people, right? My cult of people that I would typically hang out with. But once you strip aside all of that shit, and natural human connection never really goes away. You have to have good conversation with people. You have to look for them. And they all want to talk. Like, everybody out there really, I feel like, you know, the social media thing it gives this just warped view of everyone. People are typically pretty nice. Black people don't hate white people. White people don't hate black people. Gays and all these types of things. Like, it's just, everybody's supposed to hate each other. And it turns out I can walk up to somebody who I would normally think we would be natural enemies, and we're best friends immediately just by talking. And it's really, really cool. So I think that it happens when you turn that fucking phone off, man, and just really debrief and try to do and get real human connection from time to time. Now, the social media aspect and having the internet and all that type of stuff is not 100% evil. You can get a lot of great work done. I agree with that, but like, you gotta turn it off once in a while. If you're not managing it well, which sometimes I don't, and I can't believe that everybody does, you know, just one of the things about being a responsible person is that's something you can do in excess. And most things that you can do in excess can harm you, even if they're healthy things. So, you know, if I spit all year round in the woods Hunting, I want to do that all the time. I'm probably not going to make a whole lot of money for my family, and we're not going to be able to achieve a lot of things. So that's excessive, right? So that would be excessive. So I have to find that happy medium of like, how often can I go out into the woods versus how, and obviously there's some productivity piece there that I can bring meat home for my family, but meat don't pay the bills unless I'm like turning that into a commercial job as a guide, right? That's a whole other aspect, whole other story. But as your general recreational hunter, if I decided that that's all I wanted to do all year long, my wife's going to leave me, for starters, and I'm going to have a whole different life altogether. So again, just excess. So the other thing, while we were there, when you're at a hunting camp, the nutritional side of most hunting camps, I'm sure there's a bunch of dorks out there that do everything perfect. But I look at it as a good time to just kind of relax. Not that I'm a big fan of cheating on my diet, and I hate that word, because macros are macros, numbers are numbers at the end of the day, but I'm a little more flexible at the hunting camp because we're doing shit. We're getting stuff done. I'm around people that don't normally eat the way that I eat, and I don't want to be the weirdo that has like their own special section in the fucking fridge when I'm only going to be there for 5 days, right? So it's kind of like a diet of pretzels and Bud Light. Maybe throw in a cheeseburger from time to time, and some bacon and eggs in the morning. It's not the most nutritious way to eat, but again, I live a pretty disciplined life. So for years, I follow a really well-balanced macro diet. I feel like I've kind of got that under control. I've been living that way for 10 solid years as my norm. So for me to take 5 days of just like crash shit diet, like hanging out with my dad and my cousins and all that type of stuff and just eating the way that they eat, it's not really going to affect me too much. Yeah, I'm going to run a little bit slow and maybe have a little more time on the toilet on Monday and Tuesday when I get home. But like, once I get back to normal, things kind of pick right back up and I can go back to living life the way that I do. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. When they get into nutrition, they're training super hard at the gym, and they start working on their diet, and they know for a fact, I think all of you are adults, you need to have a good diet complement to your workout in order to get any real results. But it's hard, right? You gotta be disciplined. You have to be on top of it all the time, and it's just as hard, if not harder, than the workouts that you're doing. So what ends up happening is eventually you just go back to your flexible, shitty way of eating and just hope that you can outwork your diet, and it just doesn't work, right? But then they look at guys like me or other people that can go out on a 5-day hunting trip and eat Bud Lights and crackers and fucking pretzels, and like, you eat like that? How come I can't do that? Well, I've been eating well and managed for 10 fucking years. It's my norm. It's the way that I eat, right? I'll have people here in Ocala from time to time. I'll be up here at my buddy's place over here at Big Hammock. I'll have a couple of beers and I'll eat some food with those guys, and it's like, God, I wish I could eat like you do and look like you do. And I'm like, you can, but you got to manage it properly. It's just something that like you don't see the other 98% of the time that I'm eating without flaw, without fail, very well. So I'm managing everything on MyFitnessPal, everything's split out really well. When I have comps coming up, everything's super refined, the edges are sharp, I'm getting the right amount of carbs, fat, and proteins for my diets. Everything is focused all the time, right? So when I go on a hunting trip like that, it's not that big of a deal for me to do that. It's not gonna cause a change in my body aesthetic. I'm not instantly gonna blow up and become a fat tub of shit, and then I gotta work out for 6 more months to clean up my diet, right? So it's discipline and commitment on the front end allows for freedom. I think Jocko talks about that. Discipline creates freedom. And that's what that means, right? Living a disciplined lifestyle allows you to be a little bit more flexible from time to time when you need to be, right? When you want to hang out with your family and you want to do what they're doing at the moment and not be the guy that's just super uber controlling at the hunting camp. You want to be that guy. So just something to take into effect, or something for you guys to think about, when we're struggling with diet and you're like, hey, I've been working out for a year, and I'm going to try some nutrition things. I had somebody here in the gym the other day approach me, and they wanted to get on one of our nutrition plans. And I said, well, you're going to meet with one of our nutritionists and get on a plan. I said, have you met with our coach yet? And, oh, yeah, is that program? I said, yeah. She said it didn't work for me. I said, well, how long did you do it? I did it for 4 weeks. Well, I went and talked to the coach about it, and they not only did they not do it for 4 weeks, but they didn't follow it at all during those 4 weeks, right? So So at 4 weeks, they decided it wasn't for them. I'm like, man, 4 weeks isn't enough time for anything, right? So like, there's a period of like, this is a lifestyle switch. This isn't a get on a diet for a month, 2 months, get to where you think you need to be, and then you can revert back to the shit way of eating that you've always eaten and think that that's going to help you. Like, you can't eat like that anymore. You have to, when you're training like this, you have goals, you have things that are out there. It's not a diet. It's not a period of time that you have to eat like this and then it's okay to go back to whatever. It's a shift to a new lifestyle. It's a whole different mindset. It's an entirely new grocery list, right? Forever. And then after a year or two, maybe possibly even more before it really, really sets in and becomes who you are, then you can take the occasional hunting trip. Then you can go out on the Disney trip with your kids and your grandkids and eat like shit and it won't affect you too bad. But you try that shit too early and yes, you trip up and you fucking fall all over the place and you're struggling, fighting it all the time. So again, now don't look at your nutrition as a quick fix. It's something that's going to be done in 6 weeks. It's fucking impossible. You have to shift everything over forever. I know that sounds so daunting and so hard, but really it's basic, really simple. I've done other podcasts talking about just that. Like the eating the right ratios of proteins, carbs, and fats, not as hard as you would think. It's just doing it. Tracking is probably the hardest part, but it allows for flexibility in your life when you need to, because you can get back on track a lot faster when you turn things into numbers. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to take a little bit of time. I know we haven't talked in a while. I wanted to get a guest on, haven't found someone to jump on. My timing is always off. I've been traveling a lot these days and we got a lot of events coming up. So you're going to hear just from me for a little while until, I can get somebody that wants to jump in on my odd schedule and have a conversation. And we'll definitely introduce those guys out there to you guys. And you can meet some more top performing, high performing people here that use our training systems and our nutrition systems to elevate their life and live at a better standard and a higher standard. So that's what we're all about here. So, yeah, I guess that's it. So that's podcast number whatever it is. And that's the Forging Better Humans podcast. Episode number, out.